Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to An Orange Life. I'm back again. This is Deanna. I am back with part two of Toxic Mothers, and we're going to look at the women. Now, I'm going to be getting these videos up. You're going to see them because, guys, I am back to school next week. School's back in, and for those of you who've been listening to my videos, you know that I'm a school nurse, so I'm back on Monday. So I'm going to pump out these videos. I'm trying to get as many as I can done before I go back to school because the first couple weeks of school are really hectic, and I won't have the time to really do these videos. So I'm spending all week doing videos. So if anybody has any great ideas, suggestions, or anything you would like for me to dissect, just drop a comment and I'll do it. I do have one of my loyal listeners asked me to do one on siblings, and I'm going to get to that. That one's coming down the pike. All right. You click to hear about toxic mothers for women. Let's get it cracking. Let's get it started. Okay. In part one, we've already discussed what is some of the criteria that makes up a toxic mother. So I'm not going to go back into that again. If you need to hear that because you didn't hear part one, just go back and just listen to the beginning and come back to this one if you don't want to listen to the men one and you just want to listen to women. Let's just jump right in and deal with the women. So I already mentioned the criteria, so let's move on. All right, this one is a little bit more trickier, guys. Now, when women have sons, things happen. The mothers sometimes want to, make the sons you try to make them their husbands and have them do things, be mama's boys and all that kind of stuff, trying to make them first instead of letting them be their own men and venture out in the world. Some mothers want to try to make their sons their men. All right, it's a different story for the girls, for the women. Let's do it. All right. When a toxic mother has a young girl, there's has a little girl, a lot of things could happen. These things can go either way, and I'm gonna break them down into, I guess you could say, little, subsections, I guess you could say. So we're going to start with the toxic mother who is jealous of her child. Now, usually a toxic mother that is jealous of their daughter, they're jealous of their daughter for many different reasons. One of them could be that the child has a great relationship with their father. They're a daddy's girl, and the mother might be jealous because he doesn't want her anymore, or he's not interested in her anymore, and he is just so in love with his daughter, which that's what fathers are supposed to be with their daughters. Also, toxic mothers, it bothers them, the relationship between daddies and daughters, because in a lot of cases toxic mothers didn't have fathers, or they had abusive fathers. So because of that, they tend to be jealous of their daughters. And when these things happen in this case, a lot of times the mothers can be neglectful, abusive, verbally abusive, physically abusive. Not if Especially if the little girl is like really beautiful, if she's really a pretty little girl, the mother may not dress her, you know when I say dress her, I mean, have her, like little girls should look, cute little dresses, bows, hair done, earrings, things like that, how you dress up little girls. So toxic mothers can be that way. They will, not invest in their child's appearance or their emotional stability because they're angry and bitter about, the lack of male attention that they have gotten in the past and are currently not getting, especially if the little girl is very pretty and the mother views her as looking better than her. Because there are some mothers out here who have beautiful daughters who are very jealous and resentful that that daughter gets this new young life, that she screwed up her youth, but she can't stand the fact to see her beautiful young daughter have this fresh start in life. And instead of wanting the best for her and guiding her to get her best, she rather sabotage it from the very beginning. So what usually happens is that these types of mothers will tell their children, you're not that pretty, you're not that cute. They'll do little things, cut their hair. If they have beautiful hair, they'll cut it. Just little spiteful, mean things because they're resentful that they, are not that child. because their childhood wasn't great. They didn't have a great relationship with their father, and they're not as aesthetically pleasing as their child. Because I'm not going to say that the child looks better than the mother. I'm going to say was aesthetically pleasing, because most women today, they believe in their minds that if they're not the aesthetically pleasing looking woman, that they are not beautiful. And that's why we got all this plastic surgery and crap going on. But let me keep going because we're not talking about that. That's another video. So so usually the jealous mom will do that. And what happens to these little girls when they grow up, when they have a mother like that, these women usually grow up to be, bitter, attention seeking sometimes, angry, they're angry themselves, attitude problems, overly emotional. Now, if the little girl has a good father and the father intervenes and takes the child at a good age, then there's some hope there. But if the little girl is raised by the mother all the way up until 18, then you're going to have yourself some problems. So usually, girls that have jealous mothers, I know that this is something that is difficult to do, but it is a necessary thing to do. If you have a toxic mother, you have to let her go. And when I say let her go, I don't mean, when I say that, it's very touchy. When I say let her go, I'm not saying act like your mother doesn't exist at all, because that's kind of hard to do. But what it is that you create boundaries with your mother. That's what it is. You have to create boundaries with a toxic mother. And part of those boundaries is you can't let them too much into your life. They have to be outside of your life and treated with a long handed spoon. So that's the jealous mother. Now we're going to move on to the man crazy mother. Now, this is another problem. All right, girls that have men crazy mothers, and we're going to break this down. These are women who have to have a man at all times. Every time one man leaves, the other one is there in 3 to 5 business days. These are the type of women that are a big problem as well, because these are the type of women that will not believe their daughters when their daughters tell them that a man has touched them. They don't want to hear it because that means they have to get rid of that man. These type of women don't want to get rid of their men. Usually the men leave, and the women usually don't leave. So even when a woman's being abused, these type of women who have to keep a man, they will put up with whatever they have to put up with until they can't take it no more. And then the only time that these type of women will leave men is if these men actually seriously hurt them and put them in the hospital, things like that. It has to be something big. It has to be. They're not leaving if the man cheats. They're not leaving if the man hits them. They're not leaving. It has to be something big. So these type of women, their children do not come first, and that includes little girls. They will have men come over. She will allow her man to do whatever he wants to do. If he wants his friends to come over, he can come over. If so the little girls don't matter in this scenario. The little girls are not first. Now, little girls that grow up in this type of environment, in many cases, this is where the promiscuity comes in at, because many girls in this type of environment, they get SA'd in many cases, because the mother is not protecting the daughter. And there are too many men out here. And if for those of you who haven't listened to my Psychology of Men videos, you need to go back and listen to that series, because as I said before, men are deviant by nature. What makes them what the deviant, I call it the deviant switch. As a matter of fact, I have part 1 and part 2 of the deviant switch. If you haven't listened to that, that's what it is. The deviancy on a man is measured based on what I said before: his experiences, social, economic status, family background, was there a father present? Like all these things, all these factors go into how deviant a man can be. And when you have multiple men running in and out of a young woman's life, where there are young children involved, there is some sort of there's going to be a time when one of those men is going to touch them girls. All those men are not going to run through that house. You figure if the woman starts off, say at 20, 21, with say with a 1 year old or a 2 year old, by the time that woman becomes 30, 35, their daughter has been touched. She's been touched. Because once you get men, and when you add alcohol, when you add other substances, all these things contribute. So that's why I said, usually with the I can't live without a man mothers, their girls usually get touched. And these girls grow up to be promiscuous, low self esteem. They have an unrealistic view of what love is. They have no idea what love is. They have no idea what self worth is. And they have an unrealistic views of relationships and love. So this is why you have so many women out here, regardless on how they look. They could be one of the most beautiful women in the world. If they come from a family of abuse and neglect, it's going to show under the beauty. It's going to show. That's why you have so many women out here that are jumping from man to man, and women can't understand. Like, not just women, but we all can't understand, why are they doing this? They're so beautiful. A good example of that, if we want to look at current time, is Sweetie. From what I'm hearing in the blogs, they're linking Sweetie to a lot of different rappers, and they're saying that she cheats on the rappers, and she was with Quavo, and apparently she was with Offset during the time she was with Quavo, and then recently she was with YG, and YG found out she was still texting Little Baby. So people like Sweetie, I don't know her. I don't know her background, but I'm almost certain that there is some sort of assault in her background, because that is not normal behavior for a young woman to just jump from bed to bed to bed, man to man to man. That's not normal if you were raised a certain way. Usually, women that act like that were touched. And I'm not saying Sweetie's mother is a toxic mother, because I don't know. All I'm saying is that Sweetie, there has to be something there that's not normal. She's a beautiful girl. And from what I'm hearing, they said that she had some sort of substance addiction that she had recently, and that YG was helping her through it. So why did she have a substance abuse history, addiction? So that's what I'm saying. There's some things going on there. There's some underlying things. So that's why I said, young girls who have mothers that have to have a man at all times, these young women grow up to be have so many issues, so many self-esteem issues, and they find themselves in the worst situations as women, and a lot of times they don't know how to get out of it, and they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, for a few reasons. One reason is they won't get help, and when I say help, they won't get therapy, and number two, that's all they know. They think that a man desiring them or being in bed with a man is love, or they feel loved or whatever. And that's not it. They have a skewed view of what love is. So that's another type of toxic mother. Now, sometimes, and then you have the abusive toxic mother, and that is the mother who the abuse can be in many ways. It's the abuse could be that the mother has some sort of substance abuse history, and also she could be physically abusive. So when you have the abusive mother, again, the girls grow up low self-esteem, especially when there's no man around. Low self-esteem, promiscuity, looking for any attention from anywhere they can get it. I'm going to give you a good example of that. I was listening to a young woman on TikTok. She looked very young, and she gave a story on how she was 14 and how she had this terrible childhood. And when she was 14, she had a train ran on her by three kids at school. And she said that she went to the boys' house because these boys were the popular boys in school. And she thought, wow, somebody's paying attention to me. And it did start off innocently. She went to the boy's house and they were playing video games, and his mother was there. But he invited her back and told her to come back, after everybody supposedly went to bed, and he'll sneak her in so they could continue playing video games. And she snuck back. And again, the fact that she was able to sneak back at 14, that shows you right there that there was no parental control. And she went back, and the boy kissed her, and they wound up having relations. And then when he was done, his brother came in the room and he asked, could he get a turn? And then after that, his friend was there and asked, could he get a turn? And she allowed it to happen because of the simple fact she was explaining that it was somebody touching her. Like she wasn't used to, so anybody touching her, and she viewed that as a type of affection. She knew it wasn't true affection. She knew that, deep down. But on the surface, she just wanted somebody to like her. She just wanted some sort of validation, or just to be looked at, or just, feel like she belonged. And it was really, really sad to listen to her story. I felt really, really bad for her. And again, it's a lot of young girls out here like that, they're online every day and they look up to, the Sexy Reds and the Aries, and they think that life is like that with these video girls and these Instagram models and all this stuff they be talking. And really it's just a dark world they wind up, a dark road, excuse me, that they go down. But again, these types of mothers, the abusive mothers, they don't, put into their children, especially the abusive moms, and the I gotta have a man moms, they're the worst ones. They're the worst ones. Now, the first ones we talk about, the jealous mom. The jealous mom none of these mothers is great, don't get me wrong. But the jealous mom will sometimes at least not, try to protect her child. Sometimes, not all the time. But in some cases, a mother could be jealous of their daughters, but they will at least sometimes protect them. Where the gotta have a man mom and the abusive mom, no, no, they're not protecting their children on any level. They're not protecting them on any level. The abusive mom really does not care, and so does the gotta have a man mom. But both of them, no, they're the worst two. Out of the three toxic moms, those two are the worst ones. They do the most damage. Now, I'm not saying the jealous mom doesn't, but girls of a jealous mom, if they get therapy, they can probably do a little better than the the abusive mother, and the gotta have a man mother, because both of these women in those two categories, these things cycle out all the time. Because this woman keeps a man, which means the keep a man mom, she's the one that man will be essaying that child on a regular basis. You know, every other night, 2 nights a week, whatever. Whereas the jealous mom, she may not let that happen. Because one thing about the jealous mom is also the type that if she sees that she has a beautiful daughter, or a daughter that she can, like, trick, when I say trick, just make money off of her some kind of way, then at least the jealous mom will use her in that way and protect her based on that, because she's a money train for them. Now, the best example I can give for that is that I'm not, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all mothers are like this, that have their children on social media. There are some mothers out here that put their children on social media for pay, because the children are beautiful. They dress them up, they have them do these dances, and I hate it. I find it to be disgusting. And the reason why is, first of all, they have these little girls dancing to vulgar music. I don't like that. I left a comment on this one little baby. This little baby looked like she's no more than 3. And she's so adorable. And they had her dancing the Sexy Red. And I thought that was disgusting, because there are too many who's out here, and you don't know who's watching you. And because you don't know that, you don't know if somebody's plotting to grab your child. You don't know. That's why I really wish it could be a law that children under 18 cannot be on social media. I really do, because there's too many of those who's out here, and they're out here snatching them. They're out here snatching them. I'm seeing video after video about, especially with the new, what's the name, people coming in. You can't even mention their name on social media now, because they want to flag you when you say their names. But the people from the other countries, well, I'm hearing there is an uptake of them taking children. So I'm hearing that because they're sending out, different warnings and things like that. So that's why I said, you really have to keep your children offline. That's like a really pet peeve, a big thing for me. I have a grandson, and you don't see him in anything on for me. And it's not just about YouTube. I have Instagram, I have TikTok. He's nowhere to be found, and I wouldn't post them, and I'm not going to. So any pictures I have, anything, I keep them personally in my phone. I don't need to post them for the world to see. I'm old school because guess what? I come from an era there was no social media when I was growing up. So me not putting my kids or my grandkids up on my social media, that's fine with me because it's simple fact I don't need everybody to see it. So there you go. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So yes, those types of mothers are the worst ones, and they do a lot of damage. Now, I can't go really too deep about all of this. I'm just giving like a generalization because there are some, different instances and cases where there are some extreme stories and things like that. Because I've heard a lot of, stories, especially in practice, especially when I do my interviewing in practice and I get the background, the family history and the family background. I get the backstory of abuse, so I get that. So that's why I said it's a lot of it going on. And when you have a toxic mother, and the thing about having a toxic mother, children always try to please their mothers when they're young. They don't really, until they become an adult and realize that their mother, it was something wrong with her and it was a toxic environment. A lot of times children try to do whatever they can to please their mother. And also sometimes in some situations, depending on the child, when a child is going through these things, sometimes they think that that's normal because when you're a child, you think that your mother is doing what's best for you. And and of course, it's not, but you're looking like, well, this is my mom. Like, this can't be wrong because this is my mom. So you grow up thinking, this child grows up thinking that abuse is okay, that SA is something, that is looked at, sex itself is looked at differently because of the SA, because the mom did not intervene. This one is coming in her room. So when she gets older, she's going to be promiscuous. She's going to believe that her body is something to be used by men however they want to because nobody, protected her. Nobody said, listen, this is dead wrong, even though she knows it's wrong. As she knows it's wrong, even as a young child, it's wrong because it doesn't feel right. But in the mind, as you grow, what is a young girl supposed to think? So she's going to think as she gets older, well, hey, this is the only thing that I can do. So if that's all that she can believe, then that's what's going to happen. Now I'm going to move on to the last type of mother, which is your stage mom. Now, I find these mothers to be toxic as well, and I'm going to tell you why. The entertainment business has been around for many, many years, since the days of Shirley Temple. I think Shirley Temple was one of the earliest young children on television. And rumors of what goes on in the industry with children has been around for decades. And in current times, any parents that want their children on Disney commercials, they want them in the entertainment world, listen, if you want your child to be a superstar, they're not going to be a superstar unless that child makes their rounds. Now, I'm not saying your child couldn't have a career, but for those parents who want their children to be rich and famous, your child's going to have to do the rounds because all the kids have, all of them. It would except for a few. I believe that T and Tamara is not in that group, but T and Tamara also comes from a strong family background, and T and Tamara's career has also stopped at a certain point. The children that have seen more money and fame, getting all the movies. When you look at the Coreys, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, they had all these movies back in the day. They were in all these movies, all these television shows, things like that. And when you look at Aaron Carter, like all these kids, the kids from different strokes, and you just run down the list. I'm not sure about Kim Fields because Kim Fields was in the business too, but I'm assuming I don't think Kim Fields went through those type of things either because her mother was in the business and Kim Fields also isn't like a superstar per se. So it was rumored that Raven Simone was, and that could be because Raven did have, her star, her star power got a little bigger than some of the other kids. On Disney, Raven had a lot. She had, movies and dolls and, all kinds of stuff. So it's a possibility that that's something that did happen to Raven. I don't know if that's true or not. But for any parents now who want their children in show business, come on now. Y'all already know what time it is. Y'all already know. Because I've never desired for my children to be in show business. And I've been approached about, at least when my son was younger, I was at least approached about my son. When he was younger, I was approached by someone on the street about him doing a commercial. I did take him up City Line Avenue to do a commercial to just see what it was about. And we didn't do it. I didn't, it was for a Coca-Cola commercial. And I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to be, So I was like, never mind. I just wanted to see what it was about, but I wasn't going to put my child in that stuff. He acted out anyway. He fell out on the floor, started crying. So that was the end of that anyway. But I wouldn't have pursued it anyway because we already know what goes on in the entertainment industry. And for parents to say that they don't know, they're lying. They're lying. It's been going on since the beginning of time. We all know. So the stage parents, the stage mom, she's another one because she wants to live through her children. There are another type of toxic mother are the ones who do want to live through their children, the women who did not have their youth for whatever reason, whether they were pregnant, whether they had to work, whatever the case may be. So they want to live through their children and they teach their daughters to be, how to get over on men, how to use people, how to get over, things like that. And that's toxic too, because in a lot of cases, when you teach your daughters to be like this, at the end of the day, they're going to get hurt. Either they're going to get hurt emotionally or physically, because you cannot teach young women as a mother, you can't teach your daughters just to go out there and just, you know, uh, basically sell yourself if you because basically that's what you're saying. You're teaching your daughter, listen, use what you got to get what you want, do this and do that, instead of teaching your daughter how to empower herself, have self-esteem, and how to teach her how not to be a victim to some of these men out here that don't mean any good to any woman. They rather teach their young daughters how to get over on men, how to use their sexuality and their femininity to get over on men. So again, that's another type of toxic mother. That's why I said toxic mothers are very harmful to boys and girls, and it does a lot of damage. And we can see in this society that there are a lot of toxic mothers because there are a lot of damaged women walking around. And some of it has to do with toxic mothers and some of it doesn't. But a lot of times you do have to look to the mother. So I'm going to close this one out because, like I said, I'm just doing this kind of like a surface thing. I could always go deeper. I have plenty of examples and case studies, but again, this is YouTube and I don't have a lot of time. So again, you want to book a therapeutic call, the link is in the comment section. And also, if you're interested in a free support group, the link is below. Like I said, it is free. I'm not charging for anything. This is something we need to get together. Something's coming down the pike, y'all. Can't mention it here on YouTube, but if you've been listening to the news, it's about to go down. So we're going to need the support group more than ever. So for those who wants to sign up, we can do a support group and support each other through this next round of BS because it's coming, guys. Whether we want it to or not, whether we like it or not, it's coming. So we got to get it together, y'all. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe out here, and I will be back again with another video.